Yeah, I mean,
It's quite a process.
That's the thing. That's why I love baseball. Like, it's a sport, but it's like so comparable to life. Like, a Hall of Fame level hitter, if they go 3 for 10 for their entire career, you're failing 7 times.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like one of the best to ever do it. That's kind of like how life is. Like, life is going to like throw stuff at you. It's going to smack you in the face, and you have to learn how to pick yourself up, how to make the adjustment, and then move on to be able to find that next level of success. Yep. There's very, very, very few players in the big leagues that are just super good, like from, when they're in little league to high school to the minor leagues, never have any issues, whether it be injuries or poor performance or bad habits, whatever it may be. There's very few guys that just set the world on fire, get to the big leagues, and just dominate and don't have to make adjustments.
Yeah, right. There's got to be a struggle somewhere.
100%, 100%. And a good example of that, guy on our team, Luis Robert. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen in my life. It's unbelievable. He's a 5-tool baseball player, but he made his debut this year, setting the world on fire. Mm-hmm. But as the season started to go on, pitchers started to adjust. They started to see his weak spots and abuse those weak spots. And so he got very, very cold at the plate. That kind of mental struggle is going to start to take a hold, and you have to learn how to overcome that. And I'm very proud of him, because when it came time for the playoffs, he found his confidence, he found his rhythm, and he delivered. He had a great, we only played 3 games, but He played great in all 3 of them. So, that's part of it. Whether you're young or, you're struggling, find that way to make the adjustment. For me, it was like, I'm going to throw out everything I ever knew, and I'm going
start fresh.
Yeah, I'm going to start fresh, and I'm going to completely learn a bunch of new stuff, and it ended up working out for me. If that didn't work out, then I would have gone and find something else to do until something did work.
Right. So what do you say to a guy like Louis Robert? What do you say to somebody like him? Because for perspective on this, when we say you struggled when you were 21, 22 years old. I mean, you were young, right? In a game playing against 31 and 32-year-old guys that have been doing this for 10 years, wily veterans. But what can you say to somebody like Louis Robert to help him?
The biggest thing when you're going through that is you have to slow it down. Mm-hmm. When something's wrong mechanically, or something's wrong with like your approach at the plate, I can't talk too much about hitting because I'm not a hitter, but I know a little bit. They
stopped you doing that when you were a sophomore.
Yeah, exactly. I know a little bit. I hang around those guys. Yeah. So, when you're in that spot, it's very easy to start going to the video room and just looking at video and picking apart little things. Oh, is it that? Is it that? Is it, are my hips going too early? Is my leg lift incorrect? Oh, my hands starting here when they should start here. But that's generally not the case. If you start doing that stuff, you're going to get the wheels going, but not necessarily in the right direction. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing you can do is take a step back, look at it from a different perspective, kind of realize where you are, and maybe pick out 1 or 2 things that you think will really help improve. And a big part of that is communication with your teammates, coaches, people that have helped you along the way, like your circle of trust. Mm-hmm. And when you can fall back on that, then that will allow you to kind of have a more clear mind in going into what you need to do to improve.
That's phenomenal. I have a great story on this. So I was, and this is not me by any means, but I was watching Baseball Tonight, or one of those baseball shows, and it was Alex Rodriguez, David Ortiz, I think Frank Thomas, mm-hmm. and then Pete Rose. So just 4 of the best hitters of all time, right? And they're all on there talking about hitting, and somehow they get on the topic of slumps, and they're all standing there around this like fake home plate with the batter's box, and A-Rod will say, yeah, I would go when they're in a slump. When he's in a slump, he'd go into the video room and he'd figure out this, and for him it was always this timing thing. And Frank Thomas was like, yeah, I had this one drill I love to do, and he'd set it up. and David Ortiz said something similar, and Pete Rose is kind of standing off in the corner looking at all these guys, and then Pete Rose steps up. They say, "Well, Pete, what did you do? Did you do anything different?" He's like, I didn't do any of that dumb shit. I would go stand in a different part of the batter's box. I didn't change anything about my swing. I would go move my feet, and I would go stand in the back of the batter's box for a day, and then I'd stand in the front of the batter's box for a day, and it would just change my eye level with the ball, and it would always come back to that. This dude's got over 4,000 hits. There's something to what he's saying.
Keeping it simple.
Keeping it super simple.
Yeah, I think, we see that in our field of mechanics and looking at movement. To your point, that's amazing. Like, we see this huge dive deep into like detailed movement and mechanics, and a lot of times that can paralyze you, and it ends up, in golf we call it the
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, the Charles Barkley situation.
Well,
where
it's the yips in baseball,
right. You're delayed and it's not flowing well and that good stuff. So sometimes it can be mechanical, but if you made it to that level of a hitter and you're in the big leagues, I mean, you've obviously got some things that are working for you. It's just a matter of probably getting that mind right, get the system calmed down, see the ball more clearly. I thought that was a great thing. I learned from the great challenge that Leon Lee put out there, and he was a career 299 hitter, which kills him from the story he told that he's not a 300 hitter because of just maybe a few hits and the difference there. But that he put a challenge out to young folks of like, when you see the baseball, follow it the whole game. Follow it from the pitcher's hand to the catcher, back to the pitcher. If the ball is fouled off, pick it up out of the umpire's hand, start watching that ball and see the ball more clearly to tie in that idea of vision and connection to the ball. And you'll get your timing back by starting to really connect with that. So I thought that was a cool piece of advice at that time from a hitting perspective.
That guy also has one of the best handshakes I've ever
he's
got
experienced.
some paws. Yeah, he's like 70 years old and he about broke my hand.
Yeah, for sure.